Hey, what's up guys? Back for another video today. I got a couple games in the Rover for you. Some really good games for a tier 6 light, I think. Some craziness. Some examples of probably what you shouldn't do. Especially in this first game. Second game's kind of... I'll highlight some mistakes that I got away with. They're fairly obvious with the end. But I've said this before and I'll say it again. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Doesn't always work out. Sorry. Yeah, but you know, it happens. So, I'll jump into the first game, I guess. So, we're going to the usual position I like to go into this map. One of them. It varies. I'll be honest. It's this general area on the ridgeline right here in the center from the spawn. There's just several bushes that I can use. This is one of them. There's another one to the left, and then there's one up to my right on the minimap as well. But I mixed it up. Just maybe a little bit. If there's someone on the other team that knows me, maybe they hopefully don't blind fire me, so I can kind of mix it up a little bit. Sometimes that'll happen, especially if I know I recognize somebody. Not always the case, but yeah, some planning. So yeah, again, I'm in a tier 7 or tier 6 game. But yeah, tier 6 light, and I can get away with a little more here, and that's just because at tier 6, you know, the view range isn't as extensive for all the tanks, so. That Churchill that we basically could just demolish in the beginning as we go to work on another Churchill. I can get away with it because the re-range is roughly around 370, 380, 400. And at that range on this tier with this kind of crew in it, I think it's probably my T49 crew in this tank at this point, which is like 14 perks. I don't have to worry about getting spotted really. You see here, we're at 340 meters at this point. This is a little bit better because I'm actually double bushing with this one right in front of me, and then there's another bush in front of that also. So I know I'm definitely not going to get spotted here. I shouldn't, unless these tanks to my right now start getting lines of sight on me. But I'm hugging this building just to give me some cover. And just providing that outline so I know I'm not going to get spotted here, and using the map to kind of judge if I'm in proximity yet, which I'm not. Right, I was right on the edge, but just kind of situational awareness. But you see, from that position, we were able to rack up just over or around 1,800 combined, maybe just pushing 1,900 combined. And this game is already up by 3 tanks. And here we start getting. Here's the stupid part, or the beating of the stupid part. We're going to start pushing fairly aggressively, especially since I know there are 1 TDs on the other flank. I don't have to worry about him sitting in the back of the map. This is still extremely aggressive. I'm circling another light tank, which is normal, I guess, in some universe. But this kind of maneuver is just crazy. I'm not saying it's the wrong play, but just having awareness of where their tanks are, what they're focusing on. I know those other 2 heavies aren't really focused on me at the moment. That will change. And just being able to change direction and be kind of unexpected is really helpful at this point. And I know I was able to focus at the Sherman. Now I'm going to go after the KV-1, since his attention's now turned on to me. Now we've gained the attention of the VK, so we're going to go back around the building, get out of his gun's line of sight, and then we're going to ring around the Rosie and catch right back up to him. And just keep on RB, RT, and just hold the trigger down at this point, like a machine gun. I'm not even letting my finger off the trigger. And we're able to just farm them and go to town for our 5th kill. Unfortunately, we're not going to pick up the 6th kill, but I can't really complain with 2,900 damage, nearly 3,000, plus picking up a little bit of assisted, just under 1,000. with 5 kills. So just really great result. Really quick game, really fun game. That ending part. That's when I say you don't want to try that kind of stuff. Is do it in, if you're trying to get better, do it in incremental steps. So there I was basically in a mix of about 5 tanks at one point, it seemed like. Just kind of crazy. There's 5 enemy tanks right in the one area, but it's just based off of where they're at compared to like buildings, cover, stuff like that, and just kind of reading the map and situation and kind of judging where their guns are at. So if you're trying to work your way up to that kind of level, I suggest, if you're trying to push your light tank game level or any medium tank, whatever, maybe occasionally try to put yourself in a situation where you're fighting, or try to push your limit a little bit. I'm not saying you should end up in situations where you end up dying, but if you kind of found yourself kind of plateauing, maybe just push yourself a little bit and see what you're kind of capable of and try to go from there. Again, that's probably something that also helped pick up in competitive play, because you're involved in a lot of, again, that was 2 years ago at this point, but it still kind of carries over even to today at this point. And just overall, just awareness of having that many tanks in one area, just using buildings cover other tanks to carry their awareness away from the battle, and just kind of picking them off one by one like that. So yeah, it was a fun game. It's a top tier game. Now we're on a map and a matchup that's not quite as favorable. If you've been on stream, you know this is actually my least favorite map, pretty much by far. I just don't like this. Well, not by far. Let me put it this way. I don't like this map, and I don't like Ardennes, and that's just because there is no set flow to them, really. It's just kind of a guessing point. A shit show, if you will. Like, you don't really know what's going to happen. You kind of just have to roll the dice and go with it, which I don't like for the game. Now, I'm not saying every game should be predictable, boom, right off the bat, but this game, these maps like Ardennes and this can be lost just because your team deploys to one area and the other one goes, I don't know, like, it just, there's no ebb and flow to these maps, really. They don't flow well, is kind of what I'm trying to say. Also combining that with some of the snow mound physics, it's just not a favorite map of mine. Now, saying that, I don't know what it is, but like recently I've actually been playing this map, and when I do get it in lights, I've actually had some pretty decent results. And I really don't know why exactly compared to other maps, because like I said, I'm not a fan, and it really doesn't hold that well to light tank gameplay. Just because of, one, the terrain, the snow mounds are annoying as hell to try to drive on, and 2, there's lots of, especially in the center, there's a lot of corridors, and it's just a lot of guessing. Like that, you see how my tank, it just goes over a little bump and you're thrown sideways. But there's just not, yeah, I don't know. It's not a favorite of mine. It's a lot of guesswork. Like, why would there be a panther sitting back there? I guess I did spot him earlier. Maybe I just forgot. I think I did actually, but. And at this point, you just kind of lost for what to kind of do at this stage. And it's really just, I would say, a point of reading the map a little bit, I guess. But listen, you can't do that in the beginning. You're not going to get that like initial spot, like for example on the last one, Fisherman's Bay, where you can get an idea that their tanks are going to go to the town, more likely. Maybe some go to the other flank there, and some go to the center. This one, You don't know. They could all go to the center here. They could, yeah. This is one of those moments. I should have taken a shot there. There will be a lot more moments with that Rover at the end of this game. Just a forewarning. Yeah. That's kind of an indication of what's to come by the fact that he did not hit me there. And I think at this point I even said on stream, and I think I was like, after he missed that shot, here's whatever. After they missed that shot, at that point I wasn't extremely worried about them. Yeah, I wasn't like the priority target, which is kind of weird. To say that a top tier heavy tank isn't a priority, but as long as I can keep my hit points above a 1 hit, I'm not too concerned about him. I feel like I can get his flank fairly reliably, and then he's really not going to have much of a chance usually of getting a bead on me after that. So as long as we can keep our hit points, just something I always like to do. I hate using them unnecessarily, like that shot that I lost to the Panther, I believe it is. Not a fan of, because then you find yourself in endgame situations like this, where you need those hit points, and where you also need an APCR to go through the side of a totally not overpowered tier 6 heavy tank. Oh wait, and then you still bounce off of it. And it's kind of sad because I'm actually using them on the tier 6. I don't feel like I really need them for the Rover, actually. That tank I do, because it's a small rant. It's pretty broken in my experience playing the limited tier 6 I've played. Generally, I think the turret's the best place to pen it, especially the cupola on top. But regardless, it's just a pain to try to deal with, especially with, you know, equal tier tanks. You see yourself an IS-3 left, so at this point I was still fairly confident, even against the Rover, who is now full health. Still. And we spot him right here. So, we know where he's at. And at this point, I kind of want to go after the Arty. But if I can, I'm going to try to support the IS-3. To try to help him out and take out this Rover. He's on 1,300 hit points at this point. And we're able to put one shot into him, but unfortunately our last teammate gets taken out by the artillery. So, I'm actually going to go at the Arty now. I feel like on this map, it's not like the Arty's that dominant or anything, but I know where the Rover's at. He's in the middle of the map. He's not that mobile. So even if he caps, or he knows that I'm going back to their base to try to either cap or kill Arty, I feel like I can still do either of those things. I'm going to kill Arty before he even gets back here, because he's so slow. So I kind of seized my opportunity to come back here and try to get and just even down to a 1v1 situation, even though Arty shouldn't hit me in a light tank, but I've had situations where it has, because I've been camping while I've been like circling a heavy tank. It's a very common situation I've kind of ran into, because you're in a very predictive path. You're just going in a circle around the heavy tank, and it happens. Now this one I kind of make a misplay. Get too close. I know where he's at, and I know the Rover's slow, but I really don't want to putz about with this. I want to get this guy off the board as quick as possible so I can start controlling the fight again and have the ability to move around the map and just kind of control the vision. I want to stay out of the center of the map generally, because that's really just limited. And you see, we get unspotted, try to make this unpredictable, and he does the easy work for us. He comes out in the open and decides he wants to die. Cool for us. Here I kind of bluff. I don't know if I did this intentionally or not, but at that point, as soon as I killed the RD, I didn't know where the lure was. So I go in their cap, see if I can draw him over here. I like this field better actually because it's more wide open. It's got a longer sight line, and I can control it easier. The other spawn, it's smaller. There's less things that I can control. Like it's a shorter line of sight, and there's really only a few obstacles that I can approach that cap circle from without getting spotted. But we're gonna make use of those right now. So I've played most of the maps fairly enough, so I know the general idea of where there's cover approaching the cap. I know from the earlier encounter on the cap that from the right side, it's not going to work. It's pretty wide open. Luckily, like I said, he's not to the right, to my right now. He's actually right in front of me. So when I come over this thing, the berm, that's the only cover really around, I know I'm going to have the drop on him basically, unless he's looking that way, which would be kind of weird. Like I said, we have a lot of hit points. We do a little juke there actually, so that was actually good on our part. I know he's going to shoot me. Fortunately, this is where we start messing up a little bit. We scrape alongside him, and we lose quite a bit of hit points. I'm actually trying to ammo rack him again. Then we go to free aim and put another shot into his turret. And here's where the terrain starts screwing us. Just the bumps slow us down. And in here, I really messed up. I shouldn't have done that. I had plenty of room to circle all the way around him. And now I don't. And unfortunately, I'm not gonna risk. I could have maybe outran his gun there, but I'm not sure. So I instead just kind of did the smart play and just duck behind the building before his gun can get trained around. I wasn't positive on the terrain there that I could get around. I didn't want to also run into him and track myself. I do have a repair kit, but his gun was facing me fairly consistently. So now I get unspotted. I back off, get out of proximity range, and now I'm just trying to. I actually try to bluff him and just kind of shoot and see if I can get him to think I'm going to fire that way. It doesn't really work. He's still looking that way, but lucky for us, he misses. He shoots into the ground, and we get away with it a little bit. We get away with one there a little bit, but after rewatching this, I actually did make some of my own luck. That was less him being just had poor aim. I actually did do some things to make him miss some shots, so I didn't really notice that when I was playing, but I guess I did that kind of just instinctively maybe. But also made some mistakes like rubbing up against him and losing some hit points that made us a one-shot for him. Basically, we lost about 100 plus hit points to that. So just an issue. But hopefully you enjoyed all that, and hopefully that's better than the last video. And until next time, I will see you then.